that it? Are we live?
Yep.
We're live.
Hello.
I mean,
Welcome,
we are
Pathfinders. That's true. As far as anyone else knows. Welcome, Pathfinders, to the Find the Path Adventures Recall Knowledge for the Lost Omens Legends. The newest book in the Lost Omens line. And I think we technically did this out of order because I believe this actually came out before the first one.
Yeah, whoops.
We're a little late to the train, but we're here.
They're the lost omens that have now been found.
That's true. I am one of your hosts, Rick Sandidge. I am joined by three of the greatest minds in Pathfinder, Jordan Jenkins, Rachel Sandidge, and Ross Scoggin.
I don't know if I give myself the greatest title.
I owned it. I just went with
We're
it.
at least in the top 1,000.
Yeah, I'll take that.
There you go. So, yeah, we're here today to talk about the Lost Omens Legends book, the newest book in the Legends series. So I suppose we'll just go ahead and jump right in. Full disclaimer up front, as I believe I did on the last one. Find the Path Adventures are associates with Paizo, and as such, this is not a review so much as a product discussion, because we cannot pretend to be unbiased.
Sorry, guys.
That being said, none of us worked on this book or anything like that. We
Yeah.
didn't write anything for this book. Before I even get started, the authors list on this book is ridiculous. But some amazing names on there and some great people. So let's talk a little bit about their work, shall we?
Sounds good.
Yeah. So I suppose let's kick this off. Get started. We are going to be doing some questions afterwards. So if you have any questions for us, feel free to mention them in the chat. And one of the lovely co-hosts here or myself will be sure to write them down. And then we can answer them all when we're done. I don't guarantee all of them. I'm not going to be here until midnight, but at least some of them.
Jess is also in the chat, so if she can answer them as we go, then she shall.
It's true. Yep. Jess probably knows more about this book than anyone that didn't write this book. Yeah. I also don't know if that's true. I'm promising a lot tonight.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, you promised. That was an overpromise for sure because I read it. She didn't.
Oh, okay.
She hasn't gotten around to read it yet.
Jess says she knows everything. I
I
believe that.
That's fair enough. I will not even bother with the sense motive on that.
I inherently trust her judgment.
So I suppose before we even crack open this book, let's talk about this cover. I like this cover.
Yeah.
I'm digging the cover to this book. For those of you who I don't know if we actually have it up. Actually,
we do have it up in the in the side there.
Am I pointing? Is it this way?
No, other way.
I can't tell. Other way. I always get it backwards that way.
Yeah, there you
go. If you look over there, you'll be able to see the cover for the Lost Omens Legends, which has Tar-Baphon, good old mage Jatembe on there, Tessa Fairwind, and Abrogel Throne. We're just talking about how there's an O in there, or not an O, there's an R in there. And it's not Abigail, it's Abrogel.
Got kind of a Queen Amidala look going on.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit.
Like evil Queen Amidala, yes.
A little bit, yeah.
I mean, that's fine too.
So, no, I'm digging the cover to this. I think it's very neat. Each cover for each of the Legends series, or each cover for each of the Lost Omens series so far has been like a little bit different. I still think my favorite is probably the Gods of Magic, because that one is just phenomenal.
The triptych design was great.
But this one seriously makes me think like movie poster. It looks a little bit like it should be a Star Wars cover. With like Darth Vader's head in the background.
Because you got the big evil Tar-Baphon coming over the top, and so it's like, okay, yeah, he's the big bad, and then there's our heroes, and like Luke with the Skywalker, with the lightsaber in the front, very Star Wars.
Abigail Throne's like the Han Solo kind of roguish character, where she's gonna have the turn about halfway through. She suddenly becomes a good guy.
Let's
not really.
hope.
After reading about her, I doubt it.
Right?
Doesn't seem likely, no.
So and then after that we have the introduction. Don't you guys want to talk a little bit about the introduction? To clarify before we go too far, we are not going to be talking about each individual person in here. I think there's like 40 something of them.
Yeah, it would take
there's a ton.
At very least it feels like it. And so we're going to be talking a little bit about highlights or general thoughts and such. If you want to know who all is in this book, you can buy the book. I believe it's available in stores now.
Yeah.
If you have a game store that you can go to. If not, it's available online.
Yeah, PDFs are also totally available. So
or order it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I'll kind of mention real quick about the introduction. And as just a fair warning to the audience, This particular book, more so than the others, does include spoiler warnings for a number of adventure paths from first edition.
Yes.
Probably at least half of them. In one form or fashion, somebody's in there.
I found it was helpful that there's usually like a small blurb on the left-hand side that kind of was like, hey, they pop up in this. And so that was like, okay, can't read that one.
Yeah.
Yep.
Can't read that one. Skip past this one. Rick will kill me. Okay.
I do appreciate that.
Yeah, just as a fair warning, though, we just figured we should mention that.
Yeah. Oh, and I do want to mention this also for the chat. If any of us are coming in low or anything like that, we have to adjust our levels constantly between podcasting and live streaming. And so please let us know.
Yes, let us know.
I'll let you keep going. I was
going to say, the only thing real quick, Rick, is you're echoey, apparently.
Oh, I'm echoey.
So I don't know what to do with
that.
that.
I move in on my microphone a little bit here and see how that does.
I have no idea if that helps at all.
So I'm going to bring that down a little bit.
But yeah, does that help? Make it better, worse? About the same.
All right.
See, I was getting more of a pirate radio feel, but that's kind of an obscure reference, and I don't know how many people are going to get that one.
Yeah. I get NPR stuff every once in a while, so yeah.
That's honestly a nice comparison.
That's fine.
They have good audio quality. At any rate, yeah, so there are a number of adventure paths that are mentioned. These are all first edition adventure paths, so, it's not going to spoil anything for second edition, no Age of Ashes or
Extinction Curse or anything like that.
Yeah, but if you haven't played through all of them and you are like really looking forward to one of them, we might mention it. We'll try to let you know when we're coming up on it, like which adventure path this might spoil. But just so you're aware ahead of time.
Yeah, I mean the spoilers are not necessarily huge. It's mostly it assumes the PCs did blank, and so it spoils a little bit of your interaction with this character. It's not going to give away like the big, reveal for like Rain of Winter or anything like that.
I mean, some of them might.
Some of them don't.
Yeah, well, I mean,
it was enough of an issue that they did include a big spoilers ahead section in the. By that I mean a full paragraph in the
intro.
The intro.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
There's going to be some spoilers in here.
Fair warning.
Yep.
So, yeah.
So I guess let's dig into the content, shall we?
God, where do you even start?
Well, how about we give an overview of most of the content in here, like exactly kind of how the entries are laid out for this.
Yeah. So
I say Jordan.
Fair enough. So the good thing about this book is every person gets a different flavor for how they're introduced. But generally, it starts with a name of them, the picture. It gives a title to them, so I'm just going to look at Abigail just because I have it pulled up. Abigail Thrun II, Queen of Chiliax, and then that she's a lawful evil female human sorcerer. So it gives you the full breakdown of what they are, and then usually starts with their history.
I do want to point out something just there that I thought was nice, though. They don't give levels.
Oh, yeah, no, there's no levels for any of them.
So I appreciate that, because then you can make them whatever level they need to be for future adventure paths or whatever else you have coming on.
Now, I will say, when I first looked at the entry, my brain was not in alignment mode, and so I was like, oh, she's Le Sorceress. So I was like, that's kind of cool, whatever.
She's not going to be called.
And then I looked at the next entry, and I was like, oh, man, I read that totally wrong.
One other minor note to piggyback off that, though, Rick, is I also did appreciate that for a lot of them, like if it's somebody that we haven't really encountered before, they don't necessarily tell you what their class is either.
Yeah, like literally one person is just listed as inventor. It doesn't say that it's not an alchemist, it just says inventor. So who are they?
It's like it could be any number of things, you could be an inventor and be an alchemist or a wizard, or I mean, heck, you could invent stuff and be a fighter. Like, it's not, impossible.
Yeah. Well, I think it's clever because it's not boxing them into a corner.
Yep.
And so when, I recall before that there was I think there was an early book in the first edition that kind of statted out a whole bunch of the characters. It might have been one of the Magic books that just talked about, like, this is the caster level for some of these people. It's like, okay, well, everyone knows what Abigail Thrun's level is now, so if they ever decide to do, Hell's Rebels to Electric Boogaloo and you go back and decide to overthrow Chiliax, then, everyone's like, well, fortunately we know that Abigail Thrun's only 17th level and we're all 20th now, so we've got her.
Yeah.
There was actually
She leveled up a couple times.
Yeah.
A few times, you know. There was one in particular. There was a major NPC in Kingmaker who they leveled up in between like his first introduction and his actual appearance in Kingmaker.
Yeah.
And they mentioned in a little blurb, like, "Oh, by the way, yeah, he's higher level now." But
Okay. Full disclosure, Ross Rain Kingmaker, I have not. So.
but I mean, I'm not revealed who that was, of course. And
It's true. That's the greatest secret of all.
Yeah.
Yep.
Important.
But
I guess now it is.
getting back to the layout.
The whole origin thing was
getting
a
back
big
onto this.
secret.
Getting back on the
track.
train here.
Yeah.
So it usually starts with
Tangent.
what their background is, how they got to be to the point that they're at. So in the case of Abigail, it talks about her background. It talks about how she took power. And in most cases, it goes through what they were doing in Pathfinder First Edition time period. And then it goes into what are the recent things that they're doing. So it actually is really helpful because it takes a character that you may know very well from like stories and legends that you've kind of heard in First Edition, and then go, oh, it's all different now. So like with the Tyrant having been released, who's allying with him, who's not? What are the interplays between Chiliax and Andoran like after 10 years of kind of lore catch up.
Absolutely.
The other thing that it really does that's also very interesting is this is a book that has some very rare feats. Some of them are items. In the case of Abigail, she actually has a number of infernal contracts that she can do with you. So these are very rare that you can do, but they give you a power, and it lists, you sell your soul, you get a power that you can use, but then she gets a bonus that she can use against you. Kind of stuff like that. Known associates, things like that. It's really comprehensive. I appreciate in Abigail's though. There is a full contract in, or at least a part of a contract in there.
There's an actual example of it.
Not gonna lie, guys, I read that. I think a lawyer actually wrote some of that because like it actually stands up to like the legal contracts I've looked at, and I was like, wait a minute, this is a little too well done. So they've also got some fun pieces.
Bit too much like our contract with Paizo.
I was gonna say, and I was the layman who like read the first line and was like, yeah, no.
Yeah.
Accept terms and conditions.
I have read this and agree. Click.
Yeah.
Apparently, Ron Lundeen wrote it.
What?
And he's a lawyer.
Okay. Okay. Now I understand because I was like, this is really legit.
Yeah, well done.
Both a rules lawyer and a lawyer. Yeah. Well, actually, just I guess to piggyback back off of that some, I appreciated how often that kind of crept back in when I was reading through this, that you would have a big kind of stat block section. Well, there's no stat blocks in here, but you'd have a big section discussing like the world and all the in setting stuff, and then you'd have these like journal entries or these articles, or just I think at one point there was a section, there was an anatomy.
Oh,
like a little anatomy
For
diagram.
the-
Yeah.
Is it Cassie or Cassie?
I can't remember who it was.
I think it's Cassie.
Sure how to pronounce it.
Yeah.
that really cool art piece with
The meerkat?
Bobby Yaga's section.
Oh no, I was talking about.
That was awesome.
But there's a whole lot of this, like this almost in-world. They kind of remind me of like in an adventure path when you get a player handout.
Yeah.
Stuff that you could actually you could print off this infernal contract and hand it over to a player and just put a little line at the bottom. It's like, sign here at the bottom for what is it, like fiendish teleportation or whatever.
I think that one is specifically for the fiendish teleportation because it mentions right of first refusal, which I think was mentioned in that. Yeah, so that was cool. The other thing I appreciate is that they're not all so kind of just fact-based. The more legendary characters tend to have a more narrative bent to them. So it's more like a story being told about them and less a like, this person did this, then they did this, which I think is just a great detail.
Yeah, that was probably my favorite aspect because I am a former English teacher, and I'm not gonna lie, some of the entries I'm like, okay, this is like an encyclopedia, and they're not bad, like they're engaging, but then I would get to like, for example, I think it was, and I'm probably gonna butcher the pronunciation, it's like Artocus.
Oh, Artocus? Artocus?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Artocus Kieran. I'm probably butchering the pronunciation. That is one thing I wish they would have added, was a pronunciation guide. That would have been awesome.
Orchid Elixir guy.
Yep.
Yes.
Don't recall off the top of your head.
Which I'm not probably as in deep with the lore as the other three game masters that I'm sitting with right now. So like when I was reading about this, I was like, that's pretty cool. I liked the story aspect of how, and getting to find out certain aspects of his familiar that were hilarious. I'm like, that really engaged me.
You around.
Yeah, and so the more entries that were like that, those were the ones that I focused on more than the ones that were like, here are these facts about this person, and they're interesting facts, but I'm a sucker for a narrative.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Well, that's kind of, it's a fun element with this book where the entries are very heavy on flavor. And somewhat light on like specific rules. So there isn't a whole bunch of, they invented, this specific spell and this kind of thing. It's a bunch of, they're responsible for, old Mage Jatembe and the revitalization of magic following Earthfall and all the rest of that, and less of a, these were the exact, historical dates in which he did all of these things. It feels a little bit more like legends, like something you get from casting a legend lore, as opposed to just like a encyclopedic breakdown.
Which legend lore is still my favorite go-to spell for.
I love
that. Is the most flavorful spell.
Narrative.
Yeah, that is a flavorful spell.
Yeah. One other thing I'd like to mention, if I may, real quick, is that
whatever you want.
We could be here all night if I want to talk about everything. But the artwork is spectacular.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So Kenneth Cole, the design for him is probably one of my favorites, just because I love the greatsword. Like it's like got this circuit board thing going for it.
You mean you weren't drawn in by Squealy Nord? Because I know that's who I was excited about. Because Poog and Squealy Nord, that's who I played every time.
That's fair.
I mean, I think at the tail end of this, we should all say what our favorite piece of art is.
But,
okay. Hard.
Yeah, no, that is going to be hard. I have several, but that's one of the ones I wanted to mention is because I thought that was like, it is a uniquely Pathfinder art style thing that I appreciate, and I thought that was really cool. So.
Yeah, well, and the Kenneth Cole section is just, pardon the pun, is cool.
I am so disappointed we didn't finish Iron Gods.
Yeah, it is unfortunate
because we never got to meet him.
Just on the subject of talking about the kind of the progression of the setting is even reading his section where they talk about some changes, and I won't go into anything on Iron Gods here, mostly because I never finished it. The section where they kind of talk about how he's revitalizing Numeria and he's bringing in like androids now are being openly accepted in society there just kind of opens all these new possibilities for playing characters in that region and sort of shows how the world has grown over the 13 years of backstory that's now established for the world, moving into second edition now. So I thought that was very neat.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I just want to point out, and I think I've mentioned this before. I think I might have mentioned this in actually, no, I think I mentioned this to all of you, but didn't mention it on air anywhere. So I'll mention it now. I do love all of the sidebars.
Yeah.
I think that was a wonderful addition. Whoever in the design team decided to start including these sidebars, it's just kind of this almost like a designer's sticky note stuck on there that says, here's this really cool thing, by the way. And it's funny because it's some of the stuff that pops out at me the most. And so when I go back later and I'm thinking, it's like, what exactly was said about, Old Mage Jatembe or, Targeth here? And then I go, oh, wait, no, that was a side blurb. So I only have to look at 4 pages and not dig through, 15 paragraphs.
Yeah.
And it also does a convenient thing that if you're trying to avoid spoilers, pretty much any time that it says the phrase familiar faces, know that is this is a character that showed up in an adventure path once.
I thought it documented it pretty well whenever something was going to be a spoiler for an APG. Just because, again, I don't want spoilers as I am playing through several of them right now, and so that was kind of nice because I'm like, I want to be able to discuss this, and I'd see Tarbafon, nope. And so I think that was well done so that a player can pick up this book and look through it and get some cool information, but not ruin the story for themselves.
Yeah.
Why are you laughing at me?
No, I appreciate that. I didn't even have to tell everyone not to read the Tarbafon section.
Yeah, it was actually like really well done to where like there were some parts in there that I was like, I mean, let's be real, when we started this, we knew this was gonna happen, so I'm not really surprised.
That's true.
So I didn't walk into Tyrant's Grasp going, well, Tarbafon's definitely gonna be stuck in his little jail cell. No.
I mean, I will say, I didn't know
Oh yeah.
Because I don't
Oh,
go
because you don't look at
into
the lore books,
spoilersy
for second
things, and
edition.
I didn't watch any of the stuff from the previous PaizoCon, so like there was a lot of tyrants grabs, and I was like, wait, what?
And I will say on a personal note that I did run this group through Carrion Crown as well, so they're familiar with the Whispering Way and the Tyrant and all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, those Whispering Way guys.
Yeah, they're interesting.
But they also do a great job in the in each of the entry in providing kind of like plot hooks or some things that they're involved in, so that even if you're not doing an adventure path, it gives you just kind of fertile soil for you to plant some story seeds in there to just go, hey, Kevoth Cool is looking into this, situation pertaining towards the remainers of the Technic League, or,
Yeah, there's a lot of plot hooks like kind of sprinkled within. Pretty much all of them have some kind of a plot hook that you could hook into if you were looking to do stuff. The Bellamarius and Sortian one has, I think I counted like 4 different plot hooks you could hook into to do some really interesting stuff with New Thassalon.
Yeah.
Well, I think we've kind of beaten around the bush here some, so do we want to delve into a couple of the legends that we like?
Sure.
Absolutely.
Sure.
All right. Well, we're about 20 minutes into this so far, so I suppose to not eat up too much time, do you think 3 each would be fair?
I think so.
Yeah.
All right, so
I wrote down like 15, but I can pick 3.
Hey, we're limiting you.
This is casting the gods all over again.
This is what happens when you put the English teacher on the assignment, and I'm just like, oh, I took all the notes.
This is 2 more than we usually give you, one more than you.
I know, right? Y'all are always getting on to me for having 2 of something. I am sorry that I have multiple ideas.
Well, how about we rotate around? Rach, you're in the top corner, so how about we go clockwise from you? So we'll start with Rach, and then we'll make our way around. We each name one, and then we'll go around and around.
Okay.
Do a little round table.
I'm going to pick this one because I had not heard of this person at all. And unfortunately, it did give me some spoilers. I don't think for anything that we're going to come across right now. I think it was like the spoilers that I already knew. So oh gosh, I think I can't even read my own handwriting here. Ardax the White Hair.
Ardax. Yeah.
And so I love just the whole description of him, and I just put 9 broken skulls. Dang, son. Only not dang.
Well, and he's got guts to make the 10th one the Tyrant. Like, to put the cow skull on it and everything.
I loved the whole description of like who he was as a character. How much of this am I allowed to reveal? Like, can I say details and stuff?
The book is out, and a lot of this stuff has been elsewhere. So
okay,
yeah,
I love how crafty he was, and with the using his armor and his appearance to throw off his opponents. Like that part is just really cool.
Yeah.
I also love that he's kind of buddy with Sortian.
Yeah, like in a weird way.
That makes me happy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I loved. I wrote 9 broken skulls. Dang, son. Reading that whole section, I was like, yes.
Well, and also including an orc in here, giving a central position to them is actually really neat. That there's a focus there. So yeah,
I absolutely agree.
All right.
So
are we going just clockwise? Sure.
Yes,
so. Way back so many years ago when I started reading about Pathfinder lore, the thing that really got me like hooked on reading lore books was learning about Nex and Geb and their creation of the Mana Waste. So I'm going to pick Geb as an interesting one. The entry gives more information than I'd seen previously about him, and did it in like Nex and Geb are kind of given in such a way that you can't pick a side of which one you think is better. Like, who's the good guy, who's the bad guy? Like, it's kind of written in a somewhat neutral tone. Because they're both evil. But it's just interesting to see like a necromancer going up against a flesh forging, conjurer, and seeing like the things that they produce, and really that they fed off of each other so much. That's the only reason that they fought as much as they did. So I thought that was a really cool entry.
It made me think of a large scale, quite evil version of the Night Circus.
I don't understand.
The whole premise of the book is that you have these 2 magicians who are competing and the stage for their competition is the circus, and so that's why they keep one-upping each other, and it ends in disaster like this did.
Everything's fine.
Everything is fine.
It's fine.
Yeah.
We've only blown out mana in a certain area. It's fine.
Yeah, primal magic is just going nuts. It's all good.
Fine. All right. Let's see here. Who's next? Is it?
I suppose I'll be next in that line. So I think I've already mentioned him a couple times, but I think I'll throw out Catfolk Cool again because again, like I find his transformation from when he was originally introduced as being back in first edition as being someone who's struggling from drug addiction and was losing his kingdom to these evil conniving seconds and this evil organization that was involved in basically slave trade and all sorts of other horrible things over in the I would say Manois, but it's not Numeria. And and just in kind of his transformation into shrugging that all off and coming back and being bigger and stronger than ever, and reassuring his the allies that may have deserted him that it's like, no, I'm back, I'm bigger, I'm stronger. It's a very strong Clark Ashton Smith kind of feel to him. He's the Conan the Barbarian coming back out of his years of more of a King Conan at this point, or I can't remember the name of the no, I lost it. Anyway, his the Clark Ashton Smith's other big kind of barbarian warrior character that was the Atlantean. I can't remember his name. But
yeah, I don't remember.
Aquaman.
So Aquaman, that other famous turn of the century literature
barbarian character.
Aquaman.
Yeah.
Yes. But and it's just I think it kind of sums it up well. There's a title head for one of the sections called "Reforging a Shattered Future." And that so kind of encapsulates the idea of Numeria, where it is all this super futuristic tech with these basically barbarian tribes. And, they've been split for so long, and now there's the one person actually stepping up to become the Black Sovereign again and resume his throne and bring everyone back in together under one banner. Seemingly, maybe a bit for the greater good.
The greater good.
He's still chaotic neutral, but hey.
Yeah, well,
Meet some of the alternatives. Also, again, as Ross mentioned, and once you guys get this book, check it out. That sword.
I know, right? I know. Jeez.
That guy.
All right. I guess that's my turn then. My turn. So my first pick was White Estrid.
Oh yeah.
The Lenoran king who's in something of a uneasy alliance with a Lenoran, which is just an amazing premise, first of all, which is so this is probably only I actually in Pathfinder Society am playing like one of her nephews at the moment.
I see.
Which is why I picked her entry first to like read. And then as I was reading it, I was like, no, this person's awesome. So like this whole thing, it's got this side blurb about Boiltongue's travels. Boiltongue being the name of the Lenorum who she has sort of coaxed into co-rulership. So
I like that.
Yeah, well, she beat him with an inch of his life and decided to accept his parlay and decided to let him serve her rather than kill him. Technically, she brought the head back. The fact that it's still attached to its body is, just a bonus. Yeah, it's a bonus. But yeah, so Boiltongue leaves Halgrim once every year, typically after the harvest. Let's see here. So Torrig Banestone has somebody follow Boiltongue. Let's see here. Had sired children and was returning to a hidden lair deep in the Stormspear Mountains to visit them and his mate. If we could slay these children and convince Boiltongue or Estrid that it was the work of one of the newer kings, we could expect a very bloody and distracting war. And so that is also... Yeah, exactly. Her position is somewhat tenuous, and of course a lot of the Lenoran kings don't necessarily respect her because this is not the traditional way to claim Lenoran kingship. But I don't know. I think it's awesome. Like, I think she's awesome. Her design is awesome, and the fact that there's this like dragon that just hangs out all the time in Halgrim is just hilarious to me.
Yeah, definitely.
So anyway, yeah, pick one. Yeah.
Are we on round 2?
Yep.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. So my second one is How Jen.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, How Jen.
So the art for it just kind of jumped out at me because you have this beautiful robe that she's wearing with the bright red hair. It's just like, okay. And then I'd never heard of her before, so then I read the story because this is another one of those. It was story-ish, and I kind of fell in love with this whole. She died and was brought back, and then created her own world that was a museum.
Yeah.
And I got very much Legacy of Fire vibes from that.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
A little bit of the,
yeah.
No spoilers. But
yeah, that's why I didn't say anything. But I loved her whole backstory and just how there was almost like this little pocket world that she was able to create. That apparently certain creatures were not too happy about her creating it, but just like her whole journey was really cool.
Yeah.
I don't want to give spoilers. I think people should go read it.
Oh, and also shout out there because and I don't know, actually didn't read thoroughly enough through that section to see if it was brought up too much in there. The Haljan tapestry that she created was a huge thing in the Pathfinder Society.
It was.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
It was an entire year of the Pathfinder Society was like dedicated to getting the Haljan tapestry and exploring it. And I think there's like 20-something Pathfinder Society modules that took place.
It's damaged, so I imagine there was some hijinks going on in there.
Oh yeah, I mean Pathfinders. You give them something long enough, they'll break it.
It's so true.
Yes.
So,
but How Jen was really, really neat to read about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess that makes it my next one mine. All right, I'm gonna pick the Licktoad. I'm gonna pick the Licktoad goblins because somebody had to pick it. If you don't know who those are, they are in Weeby Goblins 2, and all the other free RPG Day adventures that Paizo put out. They are a blast to play. I've only played the first one, but I ran the second one. So much fun. The interesting thing about that entry is it's about like a PI on the astral plane trying to find them after the finishing of the fifth adventure, and it's just like it's rumors. Like it's like they did this and then supposedly did this other thing. Like it's very much like I don't even believe half these stories, which I think is just fun. And it keeps in line with like the kind of wacky hijinks that they get up to in those modules. So I especially liked that one. Did not realize Squealy Nord is also part dragon now, so that was sweet. Love the art.
I didn't know that. My Squealy Nord is part dragon.
Yeah,
when we played him, he turned into like a pompous British guy.
We played at PaizoCon. Who was that we played? Was that Leo Glass?
I honestly don't remember. It was our first PaizoCon, and I was just nervous about being at a table with other people. So,
but I think someone started talking with Squilly Nord or something, and he ended up like giving him this British...
Yeah, he gave him a top hat, a monocle, and he was like, "Come on."
But he actually took the artwork and drew a little top hat, a monocle on his picture. Anyway, it was great. PaizoCon's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Licktoad Goblins is some of my favorite characters they've ever created. So it was a surprise to see them in here because I was like, I didn't really think of them as legendary, but that's kind of the nice surprise in this book is there's a lot of people you don't think would be important that are important enough to put in this book.
Yeah. Well, that was kind of fun that they are kind of legends and almost more of for goblins, they're certainly legendary.
Yeah. I guess that makes sense with second edition, like goblins being playable from the get-go.
Yeah.
So that makes a lot more sense.
And actually hits on the goblin ancestry, which wouldn't have gotten much focus probably otherwise.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah. All right. Am I up?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. So, all right, I'm going to go with my gut reaction here, which will be... I don't think I could go through this without mentioning the wonder, the greatness that is Rasmir, the living god.
All hail the living god.
All hail the living god. I really appreciate having him being in here, kind of delving a little bit more into like the almost more the legend of Rasmir, more necessarily than like his actual history, because he's just kind of this figure shrouded in myth and legend. And is he a living god? Is he, actually just a powerful wizard? Is he, I mean, mind you, they put in here that he's a wizard, but but and just kind of delving a little bit into the relationship between everyone that's dealing with the Eye of Terror right now, with the rise of Tarbafon, and
Sauron.
and then you've got Rasmussen, who's just kind of like, it's like, oh yes, I am a god. I'm not worried about any of this at all. This necromancer come back from the dead. Blah blah blah.
Hey, somebody go assassinate that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then I think they kind of sum it up here when it's Rasmussen seems to entirely focus on dealing with Tarbafon one day, then treats the Lich as if it were beneath his notice the next. It's just like, it's great. I kind of fell in love with the concept of Rasmussen since playing through the what was the first one of that? Crypt of the Everflame.
Crypt of the Everflame.
Mass of the Living God.
Yes, that was such a cool book. Yeah.
Nah,
I just remember the first time we were, I don't even remember which adventure path it was at this point, and apparently Sirenscape has a recording of Jason Bowman saying, "All hail the living God!"
Oh,
and the first time he played it, I think the entire table just busted out laughing.
Yeah, if you go to PaizoCon and you mention Rasmir and Jason Bowman hears you, he will shout that at you.
Yeah.
100%.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can check out. I did an interview with Jason Bowman. I think it was 2 or 3 PaizoCons ago, and he did it on camera with us.
Oh yeah, that's on our YouTube.
Yep, he did.
So check out our YouTube channel.
I wonder what level in the cult he is.
He's got to be at least, I don't know,
like the gold mask, probably at least.
Yeah, he's got to be at least 18 steps up.
Yeah.
I can't remember how many steps there are. Like 30.
I think there's like 30. I want to say 30. I could be wrong about that,
But yeah, you couldn't miss the chance to mention Rasmussen on here. So, God, he's so great.
All right.
Russ?
Well, my next pick, surprising probably no longtime listeners of Tyrant's Grasp at the very least, is the Paladin family, the Iomidars, Calibran, and Clarith.
Somehow I knew you would pick that one.
Yeah. Once again, just as a quick mention, the art style for them both is amazing.
Yeah.
I do like, it's interesting because it focuses on their different approaches to the Knights of Lastfall organization, since they do embody the 2 different approaches that group kind of has now, both defense of the city and also bringing the fight to the tyrant himself, which is really interesting. I was really interested to see Clarice's explanation of the mysterious patron that is helping the Knights reclaim it. That I think is going to be one of the big mysteries covered in 2nd edition at some point, because that's a pretty glaringly large plot point. But really, what really drove it home to me was the, once again, another side blurb, the pair of family stories that they have. Clarith being frightened away by a quote-unquote werewolf at one point, turned out to be a ranger's dog. And then, let's see here. Oh yeah, the rules and warnings that apparently Calibran has for anybody who accompanies her on a mission, which apparently grows with each and every single mission, which I just thought was a fun little touch. And not only are they heroes, but they're family and they care about each other, which I thought was a pretty cool addition to the entire entry. So yeah. And also they're, one of them's definitely a paladin. The other one is called a liberator, which is, of course, a new version of the champion. So I'm also totally on board with that.
Yeah, just the polar opposite ends of the alignment pool. They're like, yeah, we're both trying to accomplish good, but we don't agree on how.
Yeah, but we still get along, which is, I think, cool. Because, good should unite. And also, Tarbafon is a jerk. I want to go on the record as saying Tarbafon, big jerk. Yeah.
All right, final picks.
Third round. And I was saving this for Jessica so she can get off her little angry pillow over there, wherever she is. We are both huge fans of Russian history, so I'm going to go for Baba Yaga.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
So because I know the actual Russian mythology behind it, and so to kind of mix that with what I read was really neat. I just loved the fact that Baba Yaga tries to get people to solve their problems by like trying to get them to sacrifice and pretty much give them a worse problem, but nobody ever picks up on the fact that she's just trying to get them to go take care of their own crap rather than come bother her. And that part is just funny because it's like, stop asking me for help, stop doing this, go do your own thing. And nobody ever went for that. It never worked. I also I know she has the whole thing of like taking over the Lenorm area and stuff like that. I didn't want to go too far into it because I have not played Reign of Winter, and I was like, oh, we're getting into Lenorm stuff, and I think that's spoilery, so I only caught like sentences here and there. But I remember reading that apparently every 100 years she's just like, no, Queen, you're done, put in a new one.
Yep.
And I like that. I'm like, yeah, just switch them out. We need to do that more often.
But Baba Yaga is a firm believer in term limits.
Yes, term limits
there are
a good thing.
Firm term limits.
Yeah, but I do really enjoy the fact that you can have her as a patron. And I think one of these days I'm going to have to play a witch that has
Baba Yaga as a patron. Yeah.
Oh, that would be fun.
That
would just be so cool. So there you go, Jess.
Oh, Baba Yaga.
Yeah.
Baba Yaga. All right, sorry.
Okay, I'm gonna go for a little bit more obscure one. Just because I this was one of the ones that actually taught me something I didn't really know that much about. Anong Aronach, who is the High King of Donganhold. Which, if you don't know what that is, that's an Alkenstar. And they're the dwarves that came out after Nex and Geb had their spat and created the Mana Waste and brought guns to the world, basically.
Yeah.
Guns, they've got guns.
Which I didn't realize that they invented them. I thought that Ansel Alkenstar did, because it's named after him, right? Like the city's named after him. But no, it's the dwarves who created it, and some of them still don't think humans should have guns. So I thought that was really interesting.
If you've learned nothing from me playing Grimm, it's that everything cool is invented by dwarves.
Pretty much. Pretty much.
Apple cider, dwarves. I don't know if that's canon, but it is for me.
It's fair.
Alcoholic apple cider. I think regular apple cider probably not.
Definitely Applejack.
Oh, man. Yeah, whatever the strongest stuff is.
More alcoholic? Jeez.
Applejack is basically apple-flavored vodka.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that was the one for me. Thought that was cool.
Nice.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I was kind of torn between two, and since Jordan gave a little bit of a dwarf recognition there,
you're welcome.
I don't feel like I have to mention Targic, who is amazing, and instead I'll mention what I felt like was kind of my biggest draw going into this, which was Old Mage Jatembe.
Okay, good. I was going to say somebody's got to mention him.
Yeah, I knew somebody would.
This section is extraordinarily interesting because all of it is written from this legendary kind of storytelling perspective.
He reminds me of like the Anansi boys.
That was what I actually told Jess after I finished reading that. I was like, it's told in the style of Anansi, which I thought was very respectful for the the inspiration in real world African mythology that it has.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's a little bit of cheating here because I technically get 11 choices with this one because there's also the entire sideboard that discusses the 10 magic warriors, which are just... So
you guys always get out of me for having more than one. He's over here pulling an extra 11.
I get 13 for me.
That's
but no, just the Jatembe section is great. The whole discussion about like him and his relationship with Baba Yaga is really interesting because they're both these
the art.
And them having a tea party is great.
That was pretty amazing.
It's just fantastic, and I think maybe this probably just jumped out at me because I've recently started watching My Hero Academia, but the fact that they have a spell called All is One, One is All.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so it kind of falls into that too. That I was like, oh man, that's amazing. But no, it's a really interesting section. It gives a lot of interesting information about Jatembe, and just the faintest hint of information about the 10 Magic Warriors, which they just slowly feed out more and more. So
I would read a whole book about
Black
that.
Heron, especially Black Heron. If I could get more information, I would be very interested.
Let's be honest though, Rick wouldn't take anything you guys give him. Just give him a job already.
I have a job. It's creating amazing podcasts.
I'm right here. Hire me now.
Yeah.
Okay.
But hey, if they want to give me some information and want me to write an article about Black Heron, I'd be more than happy to.
Hey, that would be fun.
You get to learn the secret lore, so you can write that.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, Russ. Drum roll.
Right. Well, I guess I'm going to bring us home with the Supreme Elective Endrin, Andira Marusik, as yeah.
I just had written on there bad A because we can't cuss on here.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, so she is the commander-in-chief of Endrin. So what really drew me to her story is how much she's set up as a direct foil of Abigail Thrune.
Yeah.
And just kind of going through as she's basically been this sort of presence in the background for a long time and has, kind of seen Chiliax's continued debauchery and shall we say corruption, to put it mildly, and has decided that enough is enough and is willing to use her position of authority to start firing some warning shots across the bow, it seems. So, yeah, I'm really interested to see where her story goes. I'm really, really sounds like they're setting up, I mean, if not an adventure path, maybe like a season of Pathfinder Society or something where we deal with that conflict between Andrin and Chiliax, and I'm all here for it. Like, I'm totally on board. But yeah, also it's really interesting that they note that unlike most of her, I suppose, peers as leaders of the various nations, she actually does have to deal with like a re-election campaign. Which I was like,
I was just about to mention that I was like, I would love to see a Pathfinder Society scenario where you're like
campaigning.
Well, where you're either campaigning to like help like get out the vote, or it's one of those like you're trying to stop Chiliaxian election meddling or something.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, that would be super timely too.
That would be interesting.
Like, oh, that's amazing. I do like that. I think one of the sidebars, one of the sidebars is literally just titled "Get Out and Vote!" and exclamation point. So reminder for everyone to
get out and vote.
Everyone, all of you Americans or anywhere that you do vote, go out and vote. Exercise your rights.
Yeah, I was going to say, in the United States, it's going to be fairly soon here, but your country may vary.
It's true.
So, but yeah, no, I'm really interested to see where that goes. She seems like a really cool figure, and she seems like a very sort of like idealistic but also tempered character, which I always admire. So, yeah.
All right, so I guess that goes over some of our favorites there, and I mean it should be mentioned that we just scratched the surface.
Yeah,
it's true.
There's
so many more.
This is a meaty book. Did we give the page count on this?
I think it's 130.
It's 126 pages, including the glossary and index, obviously. So there's a little bit of extra there, but that is a lot of text. I mean, every person's getting at least 2 pages.
Yeah.
Minimum, yeah. Some of them got up to 5, I think.
There were some of them that had like a lot of pages.
I think it would also be fun for each of us to mention our favorite game mechanic that was added in this book.
Yeah.
So that way we don't have to go too in depth, but like your favorite like character option. I see Rachel making a face, so we'll start with Jordan.
I think it's so funny that you thought I looked really closely at the game mechanics. I'm all about the story, and I figured that out later.
If everyone needs a second to think.
Go ahead and go with yours, because I've got to scroll down to where I have some of the game mechanics so I can remember.
Well, I could probably already mention the one where you can take Baba Yaga as a patron.
Oh yeah.
That's
that
right.
would be mine.
Favorite. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Oh, actually,
I did have one, huh?
Yeah, actually, I did find mine.
Okay,
so
we'll just go in order. So Jordan.
Yeah, so in the listing or in the story for Avernius, which if you don't know, Avernius is a spy, like kind of a spy inventor in Vidrian, which used to be Sargava, but they've gotten their independence, so they're Vidrian now. They have options for some of his equipment. And one of them is a palm crossbow, which they have a full diagram drawing of how you basically have this thing on your wrist that you can break apart, quickly reassemble into a crossbow that has a bolt with it. And it's very interesting because it mentions that you can assemble up to 3 bolts, but they actually are the necessary components to turn it back into a bracelet. And so you actually are breaking your bracelet to do that. So it was just like, it's so like weirdly flavorful. Like, you know, hand crossbows are just passe now. I want a palm crossbow.
Take it to the next level.
Yeah. Ezio Auditorio.
Yes, exactly. I was like, oh man,
take on everyone.
I totally want this for my vigilante that I will someday play.
I can pass a frisking check now, and they'll never know.
Yeah.
Gonna Iron Man this.
All right, so for mine, and this got a full page dedicated to it. It's page 123 for when you get your book. Is the Genie Touch companions, because you're gonna have magic ponies.
Oh,
and
yes,
that is amazing.
That is.
I just gotta love that. Horse. And also, the artwork on that page is basically a goo horse. So
wait,
if you want a damp horse,
hang on,
then you got a damp horse there. It's not transparent.
Oh yeah, the seahorse that they've got there. Yeah.
Seahorse. Anyway,
well, it gets into the whole like the Kadiran and they're like amazing magical horses and all the rest of that stuff. That's just phenomenal, and I love the idea of being able to play, you know, a druid, and then it's like, and then I've got this like I'm a desert druid, and then I've got my horse that I ride dramatically through the desert, but also it's a fire horse. And then you can have your whole, you know, dreams of playing Ganon.
If that's your dream.
My biggest dream, yes.
Yes, for those of us that like the villains, that's a pretty good option.
You're not wrong.
She knows it. She's fine.
She owns it.
She absolutely does.
She's like, yeah, I played Ganon with a fire horse.
Yeah. Quick aside, because Jess picked hers, so we'll go ahead and put hers in here. If you do follow Baba Yaga as your patron as a witch, you can animate an object as a familiar. Which I like to. Yeah,
I missed that part.
So I want to get a little dollhouse and then give it little chicken feet.
Oh, that would be
so
amazing.
cute.
My brain went to another literary reference, which is Etiquette and Espionage, and I was like, oh, I could get Bumber Snoot, which is a mechanical dog.
See, there you go.
I feel like I need to get a book list from you so I can keep up with all these references. I've never read that ever.
You know, as an English teacher, I had to keep up with whatever my kiddos were reading at the time, so I know a lot of YA.
Makes sense.
But you know, nowadays they're really good.
I don't remember. Did the Baba Yaga section have like a flying mortar and pestle?
No, it mentioned it as a story of hers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that was always one of my favorite parts of her mythology. That and her comb that she could throw down and make into like a forest. Do all sorts of crazy things with.
I just remember her sour expression and her holding the chicken.
Yeah. So, Ross?
Yes.
Favorite game mechanic?
So my favorite game mechanic is in the Kaveth Cole section. Kaveth Cole section, they mentioned Sovereign Steel.
Yeah.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, so I had a character back in first edition that had Nicole armor, and this is like a Nicole steel like alloy. And I was like, this is amazing. Looking at it,
and it's actually not that expensive too. Like it was actually
that expensive.
I mean, it's expensive. Don't get me wrong, but like
it's a higher level weapon.
Yeah,
but it's not like this is
everything in 2E is kind of expensive.
Yeah, but I was like, you know what? For like a 15th level adventure, that'd be fairly doable.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, but yeah, I do just love the. I love the lore behind Nicole. I love space rock metal.
I was gonna say the sky metals are very interesting.
Yeah, space rock, except no substitute. And then also, I like that it's armor with a downside too if you actually are a spellcaster, because there's the flat check to see if your spell actually succeeds.
Yeah, because the metal is actually magic resistance, so it actually interferes with your spell work.
Yeah,
Super
unlike
cool.
any armor now in Second Edition, it's now the only armor that does.
Yep.
So, woo!
I do need to make a mage in full plate at some point just to prove I can.
Yeah, I mean, I don't.
I'm pretty sure
the
Jess did that in the beta for 2E. She did one just to prove that we could, and it was ridiculous and amazing.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's no reason not to, especially if your mage has a low enough like dex that it's just like, sure, why not? But I mean, I guess eventually you'll get slightly better proficiency with unarmored defense as a mage. But still,
eventually you do.
But yeah, no, I love the Sovereign Steel stuff, and I love like the Numerian tech stuff, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do with like a technology guide for Second Edition.
Yeah. Just gotta wait for some gunslingers.
Absolutely.
Please, Paizo. I need guns.
Fingers
Swashbucklers don't feel right without a pistol.
So, yeah, I think after all of this section, however, I do want to give a shout out before I guess we move on to our closing thoughts on it. There were 2 pages dedicated to a section they called like the Entwined Destinies,
which was very helpful.
I thought were great. It was just kind of, it's like the crazy wall of interconnected.
Who's allied with who and who's against who, and it really helped keeping it all in track, because after a while of reading the entries, I was like, wait, who's that person again? Like, what is their thing? And it very clearly maps it out in several different ways too. So it's like political intrigue and like who's economic partner. What was the other ones? I don't know.
The
battle against Tar-Baphon is one of those.
Oh,
like how everyone is interconnected in their fight against.
The fight against abolition, which I thought was really cool.
There you go. Another book reference. Made me think of Catch-22, where you have to figure out the single event that affects all the other stories.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is that there were like footnotes at the bottom of each entry that have like key characters that sort of interact, or key figures if it's like a god or something like that. But it can be hard to keep track of all that stuff, so it was nice to have a visualization at the end.
Oh yeah. So no, I thought that was really neat. So I guess real quick before we get to our closing thoughts, since we're doing our favorites on everything, everybody have your favorite art piece?
Oh,
yes.
Yeah.
I do.
All right, Rich?
I'm a sucker for Sorshin.
Sorshin's cool, yeah.
Like, I turned to that page and I was like, oh, dang.
Yeah.
Like, she just looks amazing. I'm like, yeah, I believe that you could have ruled Thassalon.
Yeah.
Like, you look like it. I bet you could give Abigail 300 run for her money.
Maybe.
So, yeah, Sorshin.
All right. What about you, Jordan?
So in what was it? Artukas Kieran's entry, it mentions his familiar. And his familiar is a meerkat, and it mentions that his meerkat has been doing this so long with Artukas that he can teach classes on his behalf and actually does all of his teaching, because Artukas is a hermit, and they have a picture of him with like a little cape and a little costume, and it is the most adorable thing. And I need a meerkat familiar now. Didn't know I needed that until I saw the artwork. It is so cute. I know Jess's, that was her favorite as well, so she and I are on the same page about that.
There you go.
Amazing.
I'll let Ross go next, because I've got 2, and one of them might be
Why? Come on now. What's with you sandwiches?
Well, all right. So I ultimately decided, I mean, there were several that were competing for this.
Yeah.
But I actually decided upon Eutropia Stavian, just because like it really does strike me as royal portrait, but not as pretentious, which I thought was really cool. And plus she's got a dog, and that dog is awesome.
Yep. Points for dogs.
So yeah, she gets points for dog. But yeah, I also just I liked her like hairstyle, and then the like tiara thing that she's got that's got like the feathers off of it. I thought that was cool. But yeah.
Awesome.
Was that one of your 2?
It wasn't actually. So the one that I'm going to say, just mostly because I want to find this art piece, like a high resolution print of this art piece, and print it out and put it in my office somewhere. This is how much I love this art piece. Is the think it's on. It's in Ulthan's the second section, the Watcher Lord in Exile for the. There's a propaganda poster.
Oh yeah.
Here, which is this amazing picture of like this knight standing in full armor with the sun rising behind him, with his hand coming down to crush him, and underneath it just says, "Does he stand alone?"
Yeah.
And I just love that it's done in that classic propaganda style, and I love that piece.
Oh yeah, that's amazing. I love that.
Also, not one of my two, but I do have to mention a couple above that is there is a crazy wall of string picture on here. Now here's the thing, because there's one in the advanced player's guide too.
It reminds me a lot of the crazy wall you did for Strange Aeons after we'd been away for a bit, and you literally drew out a crazy wall on like a whiteboard, and we were just like, what is going on?
What did we do? Oh my God.
What did you call it? Like the wall of crazy or something like that? It was like so fitting.
It's just all these lines interconnecting everything. It's like it's all connected.
Yep. Yep.
So,
What was your other one?
My other one is honestly, I love the picture of Chitembe and Baba Yaga. It's just a phenomenal picture. I'm glad they put it up at the top. They open strong with the artwork, but to be perfectly honest, like the Lost Omens series has killed it with the artwork since it launched. Second edition's artwork has been killer. First edition was great also, but the artwork in second edition has been all killer, no filler. So. I suppose we'll get to our closing thoughts here and then maybe answer a couple questions.
Sounds good.
So, I guess my thoughts on it are first off, there's an interesting thing to this book where more so than almost any other book in the Lost Omens line so far, this kind of encapsulates what I feel like is the merger of the 1E player companion and campaign setting lines, where this feels like it's so much information that it could not have worked as just a soft cover book like they were doing before. And so it really encapsulates why I think their transition to doing this as a single book, especially like a 130-page hardback book, works so well. It's interesting because it kind of reminded me of the Rival Guide.
A little bit,
but except for in this case, it's characters that have a lot more to do with like shaping the setting. It kind of builds on 13 years of the setting's existence and just kind of builds up from there. I know this doesn't apply to any of you since this would only apply to Heather, but in the old World of Darkness stuff that I used to play, the White Wolf published games back in the 90s when I was a goth kid looking to play my vampires, sitting in a room listening to The Cure. They would always have they would put out these books. It was just something like, Ross knows this because Ross played White Wolf with me also, where they put out these books. There were things like, the Camarilla by Night, and then it would just be this book that's nothing but different Camarilla characters. Or
Chicago by Night's one of my favorites. I love that book.
And they would always have a section that's just like nonstop NPCs for 30 pages. Is kind of what this felt like.
I guess those were some of the coolest sections of the White Wolf books. So
I guess to voice my only point of concern, my only issue that I may have taken with this book is one of the things that I love about the Golarion setting. One of the things that won me over from the Golarion setting from my previous favorite setting, which was the Forgotten Realms, was the fact that it kind of felt like there was a need for heroes in the world of Golarion. Because you read the Forgotten Realms, you play games in the Forgotten Realms settings, and it's like, okay, well, there's this huge problem in the Silver Marches. Okay, well, why isn't Brits taking care of this? It seems like it would be in his wheelhouse. Why isn't Elminster just teleporting in here and dropping one of his uber powerful spells, or one of the Seven Sisters, or one of these other amazing characters? And I don't feel like this one. I think this one addressed it well because most of these people have responsibilities that keep them from just going, okay, there's goblins attacking this town, well, that's a problem, but again, the head of the Red Mantis Assassins isn't going to ride out to a small town to go and deal with this personally. But I think that they dodged a bullet by not including stat blocks and not including individual levels. So you can't just go, okay, the what is it, the glorious
Reclamation.
Yes, comes in, and everyone's like, "Oh well, why isn't Abigail Thorne just dealing with this personally? Why doesn't she just teleport in there or get one of her mages to teleport her in there?" And so I think they address it well enough that, but it's still just a bit of a concern where not making the heroes feel like the center of attention.
Sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, if you're using these characters, I would say to use them in a way that makes sure that the players stay the central focus and not let these characters swoop in and then immediately steal the show and suddenly it's, okay, yeah, we're the backup singers for, Abigail Thorne dealing with this stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with that. I think one thing that does help is that there are, I mean, not to put it like super bluntly, because I know that Pathfinder is not necessarily a world of blacks and whites, but there are enough characters on different sides of like the sort of moral divide that I think at least it's like, okay, well, why doesn't just like old mage Jatembe just do everything and make everything wonderful because he's so great? I mean, like he could just go in and be like, I'm a wizard. It's like, well, yeah, but there's a bunch of other people that are, just as, or at least almost as powerful as he is that, also do stuff and they're not so nice. Like Whispering Tyrant. So I think that helps. But I think that is true though, because it can be like a lot of these, especially these legendary characters, definitely need to be used with care. Old Mage Jatembe, Baba Yaga, folks like that. You can't just like shoehorn them into any campaign because it can very quickly become about them at that point. So yeah. And then sorry, go ahead, Drew.
Okay. So one of the thoughts that I had while I was reading this was I saw so many plot threads that I was like, please make an adventure path of this. Like I would love to see I'm gonna go back to next. They mentioned that the flesh forges are just turning on and churning out monsters, and they have no idea why.
Neat.
Yeah.
Can I finally get my Geb next adventure path? Maybe, please. Okay, thanks. Like there were so many great hooks in there. So if you're somebody who homebrews and you use the Pathfinder's Golarion setting, and you're looking for a hook, like this is full of hooks. That can take you like even something as minor as like, oh hey, they're hiring a lot of mercenaries to find the Technic League and kill them and put bounties on them, all the way up to like, why are the flesh forges turning on? There's kind of something for everybody when it comes to like whatever levels your characters are at that you want to kind of soup it up. And name dropping a big figure in your adventure path is going to make everybody who knows the setting really well go, whoa dude.
Yeah.
I think my one other... Oh, sorry. I keep interrupting.
Go ahead. You are fine. Go right ahead.
I'm sorry. I was just going to say one really brief thing. One thing I did think was kind of missing, and maybe they're just going to do another book on it. I would have liked to see a few more Pathfinder Society folks, too. Like actual members of the Pathfinder Society. I think that would be...
I could see them doing an entire book just dedicated to the society, though.
Yeah, that might be why they didn't, but it still would have been, if they're not going to, it would have been nice to see in this. But anyway,
yeah. I mean, I was going to say overall, from a player standpoint, I thoroughly enjoyed the book. Again, I was glad that it notified you if there was going to be something of a spoiler, so I knew where I could skip, but then I could still just go look at all the really cool artwork and get some inspiration, so... Two thumbs up for me.
Yeah. So someone did shout out in the chat that there is a Pathfinder Society book on the schedule. So Raccoon Friend.
Interesting.
But that I remember reading about that before, but then I was like, is that something that I remember reading about, or is that something that was mentioned to me at some point? But
or is it just a wish deep in your heart?
Sometimes I'm so immersed in things that I'm like, I don't remember where I heard this. I feel like Luis might have mentioned this at some point, maybe when we did our interview with him.
Or sometimes I like psych myself out. It's like, wait a second, no, am I just thinking of like a first edition rumor I heard way back when? Like, it's like, no, that book came out 5 years ago. Where were you?
So,
okay, well,
thanks for reading our mind, Paizo.
Do we want to shift into the couple of questions I wrote down?
Yeah, I think we can do some Q&A real quick.
Okay,
yeah.
I'm going to knock this one out first because it's just for Rick, and, well, it's just for Rick. The question is from Sarah Good Couch.
Yes, sir.
Were there any surprises in Tarbafon's entry, a yes or no response, or even a head nod or shakle suffice? That's not either one of them.
Seriously, man? Seriously? Jeez.
I will say yes.
Okay.
Okay. Well, then I'll work backward. We have one that just posted up. Question for the crew. Who's your top NPC or legendary who didn't make it into the book but you wish they had?
Ooh.
And actually that is, that's a same as the question we had earlier, so.
Okay, I'll go first.
Yeah, go for it.
So selfishly, I didn't see a single Osiriani person put in there. Where's Chisisek?
Sure.
Where's the Ruby Prince? Mostly, I just want Chisisek in there. I want more lore on Chisisek, and I can't wait to record the next episode to find more about him. He's super interesting, man.
I think I'm gonna second that because I don't think I know enough about the legendary characters as much because I kind of learned just as I played the APs. So yeah, I'm a little surprised there weren't some Osirianis in there.
Okay. You have one, Russ?
I'm still thinking. Give me just a moment here. But if you have one, go ahead.
You know what? Hold on. I can't remember his name, and that's really gonna bother me. Maybe someone in the chat can beat me to it. The founder of the Hell Knights. I can't remember his name.
Viduk?
No, he's not the founder.
He's one of the big current ones, but
he's one of the current ones.
Yeah, he's a bigwig right now.
Damien Rule.
Okay.
I would have loved to have found out more information about him. There's a lot of information already about him, but about how, all the steps that he did and his steady progression into basically becoming the founder of the Hell Knights and the infernal influences and such on the Hell Knights. And then his big mysterious disappearance when part of the Citadel burned down, but he was never found. There's a whole lot of interesting stuff there. And he's such an influential figure in this order that, it's an influential enough order that it was one of the 5 that was actually given a whole order section recently. So that would be interesting.
Yeah.
All right, Ross, what you got?
Well, there are a few different people that came to mind. Oddly, none of them I think are necessarily as important to the Golarion world as a whole as any of the characters mentioned here, so I can see why they weren't included. But having run several of the adventure paths, there's an NPC that I'm a huge fan of from Curse of the Crimson Throne. Who you meet very early on. I guess Rick, Rachel, do you want to?
Certain alchemist that I'm thinking of?
No, but that would have been amazing too. Actually,
okay.
Yeah. Archmenos. Oh my God, yes.
Archmenos would be really interesting, but he's not really legendary legend, but he's interesting enough to appear in 2 different adventure paths.
Yeah, he's an interesting guy, and I would like to see what he's up to these days. But
what have you been doing?
Yeah,
alchemy.
Well, especially since alchemist is a core class now. It's interesting.
But sorry, I totally I went over what you were talking about there.
No. I was just gonna say I was a huge fan of Cressida Croft from the moment.
Oh yeah.
So like I said, she's not really a legendary figure that one would think of, but
very important.
Yeah,
she's still very important, and I just like her a lot. So I was like, oh man, she's not there.
Yeah.
Oh well.
You know what? It just occurred to me, and Paizo, you dropped the ball on this.
Oh, man, big guns.
I'm bringing out the big guns. I'm talking directly to I don't know whoever.
Shots fired.
I know Luis and
shots fired.
Not calling you out, Luis. I love your work. You do amazing. Thanks. There were no Van Kaskerkins in this book.
Oh,
there should have been at least one Van Caskerkin. Come on, those people are legends.
You know what also was missing?
Jagare, you know?
Yeah, no Jagares.
No Van Caskerkins.
Something else that occurred to me.
The Van Caskerkin, speaking of just appearing in multiple adventure paths, I mean, the Van Caskerkins have featured, I think, 5 now? Or at least one of them have. So
they could have at least mentioned those family.
Yeah, I mean, you have enough room to give to the Licto goblins. You can mention the Van Caskerkin family.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
maybe there'll be like
a
genealogy book that comes out at some point.
Yeah, maybe.
or once they get around to doing a version book, then we'll probably get some Van Caskerkin attention in there.
I hope so.
All right, we ready for the next question?
Yeah.
Yes.
Which entry were you most excited to read?
I don't mind.
Go for it.
This kind of goes without fail, considering I've hiked it up so much. But yeah, Old Mage Tatembe. I was really interested in reading his from the moment that I saw him on the cover of the book. And I was not disappointed.
Yeah, mine was Baba Yaga. I'm currently running a group through book 6 of Reign of Winter. So nice. Baba Yaga is kind of top of mind for me on just a everyday kind of thing. So that was the one that I was like, oh man, I got to learn some more about that because that's gonna be cool.
Go for it.
I would say that I was probably most excited to read Baba Yaga going in, but I think as far as what I came out most excited about was Ardax, the white hair.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just awesome. Like that picture of him just like, yeah. Love that. I think going in, the one I was most interested in reading about was Artokus Kirin, just because he's been mentioned in several of the campaign setting books, especially like the big ones, especially in first edition, with pretty much no details whatsoever, like about who he is or what he does.
How does he live?
He makes the Sun Orchid Elixir. Like, that's it. That's his thing. He does that. Like, I'm sure he doesn't do that 24/7, like, his entire, immortal life,
he's not teaching.
Well, I was going to say, they also showed that he artificially limits the amount of the Sun Orchid Elixir that gets made every year. So I thought that was really interesting to see the interplay that he has with Thuvia as well. So, like, what is all that gold going towards? It's not a big mansion. It's basically Thuvia's economy.
Yeah, it is literally the entirety of Thuvia's economy.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was interesting. So, yeah, I was really interested to open up and find out more about him.
Well, yeah.
All right, nice. We've got one last question, unless some people add some into the chat. If you each had one of your characters who could meet one of the legends, who would it be and why?
Ooh.
Geez.
Like any character, or are we keeping it to the podcast characters?
That's
probably a character people know.
Okay.
I mean, that makes sense.
Which means I have one.
I have one also.
Yeah, true.
Go, Russ.
Huh? Oh, I don't know yet. Actually, I hadn't.
Okay.
Sorry. I just was saying I have one character total.
Yes. For me, for my character, Grim Ensfar. I'm pretty sure that despite being a venerable dwarf, he would fangirl over the chance of beating Targic. The first High King? Come on. This guy's legendary. He brought the dwarves up from the depths. Just like some of the information that they have in there where they kind of talk about his, I believe it's in the Entwined Destinies, where they talk about how King Targic, they drove the orcs up to the surface during their brutal war and such, and that, that later on they found a letter from King Targic discussing his regrets over his actions and trying to actually make peace between the dwarves and the orcs. And like Grim, I think that would be so fascinating for Grim because he struggles so much with his paladin's code of any enemy to my people and being so extreme that being able to talk to someone as influential as Targic would be amazing for him.
So Jess weighed in, says that she would pick Hollis meeting Nex or Old Mage Tatembe. I will also say Amaranth would literally die meeting Old Mage Tatembe, especially because he did spend some time in Magambia doing like an exchange program. So I would like him to meet Old Mage Tatembe and learn his secrets.
Excuse me, I'm your Elven foreign exchange student.
Yes, exactly. Tell me your secrets.
Do I get to bunk with a sentient spider? Okay.
Hey, that was cool, man.
Okay.
That made spiders cool for me. Heather would hate it, but it made spiders cool.
Just don't eat Reggie, please. Okay, thanks. Reggie is friend, not food.
Jess is not sticking to the one rule. So
no, she's already at like 3, so we're not gonna even say it.
Well, I think because there were so many Osiriani missing from the book that I can't really do Sitra. I had kind of a weird one.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of think Planchette would like to meet Geb.
Oh yeah, talk about the undead a little bit.
Go for the fairy tales.
Yeah.
Necromancy stuff. Otherwise, I would say Istria would want to meet Indira Marasek.
I could see it either way.
Yeah, because she's all about, freeing the people and helping out. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see here. I mean, knowing Rosamond, who is literally the only choice I have, which is fine. Like, I like Rosamond.
Well, you have your fated character.
Yeah, I was gonna say you could do the fated tales character.
Yeah, I
don't really know who you'd be excited to meet, but
Flipper got to meet the Viper, man. He's just so happy about it.
Why is the Viper not in this book?
Yeah, jeez, Rick, you need to, make sure the Viper's in the next one.
I'll see what I can do.
Jess says Rose should meet the Tyrant and Wreckface once we're like level 20.
I mean, that's very optimistic, which makes sense considering who she plays, but...
I have 2 words for you. Smite evil.
I was
going to say which Rose doesn't have.
I can't do that. I'm not that kind of paladin. However, Rosamond would probably end up going with the... it may sound boring, but I think that she'd be interested to meet Ulthen II. The Watcher Lord, who is, due to events, no longer the Watcher Lord.
Sure.
Which is a shame. But I think that she would be interested to at least, talk with him. It would be more of a, I want to know, what the future is and what your ideas are, but I think that she would absolutely be on board with his, I'm the friend of goblins and I do all this stuff and you seem like a nice guy. So
All right,
cool.
Well, I think I've faded almost completely into the backdrop at this point. So unless we have a few more questions.
Little does the audience know that that's actually our timer for when we need to once Rachel's floated into the background and become invisible.
Once my goth colors have really melded into the background.
So I guess we'll cap it here. So overall, I would say that, God, and this is so difficult for me to even say, considering how much I love Gods of Magic, but I think that this is probably my favorite of the Lost Omens series so far. I really legitimately enjoyed this, not only as a setting book, but as a legitimately entertaining read.
Yeah, it's a great read.
Yeah.
So, I give this, I don't know, are we doing thumbs? I guess thumbs.
I don't know.
Thumbs?
Sure.
Mine show up really
That's
well
8
on
thumbs
the
up,
black
y'all.
backdrop.
I was going to say, you're super pal, so it sort of shows up great. Anyone else have any closing thoughts? Other than just buy this book?
Yeah, enjoy it, have fun with it, and comment back to us, send us some emails, tell us what you thought. We'd love to hear from you.
Buy this book. Let Paizo know that we want more of this stuff because I could use an entire other book of this. I'm sure there's enough legends out there.
Oh yeah, definitely part 2.
Get some Osirianis in there.
Yeah, we need some Osirian characters. We need at least a Van Caskerkin.
A Jagare.
Maybe a Jagare or 2.
Yeah.
I mean, Varian's still kicking around, right? So.
I would be willing to bet money, and I'm not going to take up any bets from anyone in the audience there, that Varian will show up in the Pathfinder Society book.
Yeah, maybe we'll have to see.
There'll be at least a Jagari there. I almost at least Radlin.
Yeah, fingers crossed for Radlin. I think he's fine.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for coming and listening to us and engaging with us in the chat. It's awesome. We love to hear from you guys.
And if you're listening to this on our Find the Path Ventures feed, we like you too. but only
We
like.
love all our fans.
Yeah,
we
so-
Our listeners,
we love all of our fans.
our patrons, everybody. Like,
Yeah.
we wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't for you guys.
We wouldn't
so.
be able to do this if it wasn't for the amazing support of our patrons, who have done a phenomenal job in keeping us able to continue to record despite all the difficulties that we've dealt with. So thank you to all of our patrons. If you are unfamiliar with us, we of course have our own RSS feed you can find with Find the Path podcast, where we do a Mummy's Mask Adventure Path. We also have our Find the Path Patreon, where we the Find the Path Adventures Patreon, where we do Tyrant's Grasp, as well as a Find the Path Adventures feed that is a free RSS feed that hosts a variety of extra material we do, including these, in an audio-only format. So that's also a place that if you want to go back later on and you're like, I think they said something fun there, I'm going to listen back through. That's an option for
And
you.
if you extra like us and you want to buy merch, we got that too, y'all.
Yeah, we do. We
on our
also have
website,
other ways
find-path.com.
Yeah. And
you can get a critical giggle.
I was going to say, we have a shocking number of...
Shout out to Sandidge.
Shocking number of
Thank you,
fan service shirts because they were made by fans.
Yeah.
Well, we do have one of the most amazing and supportive communities out there. In
Definitely.
All of, actual play podcasting, and you are all amazing. I hope that all of you are having a wonderful week and are taking good care of yourselves.
Absolutely.
So, other than that, phenomenal book. Go out and buy this book. If you are able to order from your local game store, go ahead and do that. A lot of local game stores need support right now. Don't put yourself in danger to do so, but if they do curbside delivery, maybe look into it. Beyond that, you can, of course, order it directly from Paizo themselves and make sure that they're well taken care of and support the amazing authors that did so much to create this phenomenal content. Some of which I believe were actually in chat. So,
Really?
Thank you.
Awesome.
My eyes were going back and forth, so I might have missed it. But I think Luis was
Luis was in there, and who streamed this? I believe.
I don't know who that is, but they seem to be Paizo related. They knew about a schedule.
I'm so flattered.
Well, I always picture the raccoon artwork that they have for their Twitter handle, and I can't remember.
I don't spend enough time on Twitter. It's a problem.
Don't spend enough time
either.
Either way, shout out to everybody.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it's
Do they want us to name drop them? Maybe that's why they have the handle.
That's also quite possible.
That's true.
So
Somebody at
I'm in
Paizo.
an awkward position.
So we're not going to say it, but shout out to you.
Shout out, I'll first name.
Oh,
because we do first
just as
names,
they
so-
introduced themselves, I must have missed it.
Okay. Is it Ashton?
I have no
Did I
idea.
miss it?
I would have missed it. I was trying to pay attention to 10 different things.
That was in the beginning. Let's focus on the content.
Well, if it was
Just
Ashton.
says yes.
Okay. So yeah,
I think
thank
so.
you for tuning
I
in
don't know.
also. So, yeah, if there's nothing else, then I suppose that's it for us.
We are signing off, and we'll see y'all next time.
Until next
Good luck,
time, good luck,
Pathfolk.
Pathfinders.
Bye, Pathfolk.
Woo.